Hi, Greg McKenzie with Butter Suspension. Gonna do a quick video today on how to bleed a Rockshox Reverb post. Stick with me, we'll go step by step. Syringes, oils, tools, etc. It's a pretty simple procedure, but there are some little quirks. So, hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Okay, let's bleed. If you go buy the bleed kit for the Rockshox, the newest one should come with all the fittings you need for the standard plunger or the new 1x lever, because this does take a different fitting than this one. If you're doing old style, you need 2 of these types. If you're doing the new style, then you only need 1 of these, and you need the new fitting. We're going to be doing a new 1x lever, so we're going to use this new fitting and the old one. You also need reverb fluid, a T25, a T10, and that should do it. Sometimes based on how tight this piece is, you might also need an Allen wrench. I believe this one is a 3. You can see that this inside is just an Allen wrench, and you use this to open and close the valve, but sometimes this little fitting isn't quite enough leverage to break this free. So I'll always start using an Allen wrench and just crack it loose, but then close it again, because you want to keep this closed before you start. Reverb fluid. I almost always keep reverb fluid in the fridge. One of the biggest issues with fluid as a lever medium is that it is susceptible to heat or cold. Specifically cold. So I keep reverb fluid in the fridge before I bleed. I don't use refrigerated reverb fluid when I'm rebuilding the post, but when I'm bleeding, this only affects the line. The problem that we've discovered over time is if you bleed a reverb with warm fluid and then it gets cold outside, that warm fluid started out expanded, and then as it gets cold, it shrinks. So now the lever, if you will, or the stuff you're using to push is shorter. And so you go to push, and instead of being, long enough to push the button and open the valve, it's shrunk, and so then it just doesn't quite open it, and then your reverb goes up and down slow. So if you always bleed it with cold fluid, it always works properly. And then the nice thing is, conversely, you don't ever have any problems with cold fluid expanding. It never causes a problem. So, we are going to put a little bit of fluid in one end, and then basically 3/4 of the way fill the other one. So, just do a little bit down here. This is going to go at the base of the post. And then fill this one up. And you can see there's bubbles in here. There's always going to be bubbles. So you want to let this sit for a little bit. All the bubbles will slowly rise. I've conveniently mounted this in the vise. You can do this on the bike when it's out of the bike, but you want to figure out a way to attach this to the rear tire. Or you can put it in a bike stand, whatever you have. It's just nice to have this stay put. Now you'll see I'll engage the O-ring, but I'm not going to destroy the thing. You don't need to crush it. And then, one thing that's really important on both the old and the new, so your speed control, when you're bleeding this, you want your speed control to be all the way in the slow position. Basically, it's all the way open. You want to back it all the way out because you want to have as much fluid as possible inside here. If this is all the way in and you bleed it and you want to speed it up, you have nowhere to go. So, T25, I've already cranked this out, but just back it off. Don't go nuts. You don't need to break the thing, but just go until it stops. If you have this older style lever, this is also speed control. This doesn't have the fitting, but you basically unthread this until it stops. You want to go opposite of the plus. You want it to be as open as possible. So then you take this fitting. This goes into the bleed port. You're going to basically push past the O-ring, which seals this, and then you're going to find that Allen fitting in there. You can feel it's kind of engaged. I'm going to turn this one whole turn. We've now opened the system. You can see there's a bubble right there. it's okay. So I'm gonna hold this because I don't want this to fall out. It's a pretty good seal, but they can fall out if you're adding pressure, whereas this is threaded in place. This is a brand new hose, so there's gonna be a whole bunch of air that comes out on this one. We'll probably have to fill this syringe again. You'll see a ton of bubbles come out over here. So just push, 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 lots of air, and then now we're getting fluid mixed with air. You don't want to push this syringe all the way. It's just nice to have a little bit in there. You don't want to push bubbles through. I'll activate the lever. You can see bubbles come out. And again, this is not the end of the job. This is just getting as much out as I can. And then I will let them rise. And then come over here and push back. I'm going to go back and forth probably 2 or 3 times, each time activating the lever. You can see more bubbles. And if you just hold it and just kind of let them do their bubble thing, give it a little bit more of a push, and then you can also draw a little bit, pull a vacuum, and then go back over here. Push the lever, more bubbles. We're gonna have more bubbles than normal because we have a brand new hose. Usually if you've just rebuilt a post, your hose has fluid in it, so there's less of this going on. Push, push. We're gonna put a whole bunch over here. I'm gonna close this just because I know that if I put this down just wrong, this will pop out, fluid falls over, you gotta bleed all over again. Set that aside, grab a rag, unthread. You'll notice the bleed fitting is at the top. Oil is all the way up. You always wanna make sure and put your bleed plug into oil. That way you know that no bubbles are going in. You can see I'm shoving oil out as I put this in. Real snug, but not crazy tight. Now, again, I'm going to hold this, and what I'm going to do is try and bleed the lever. Oh, that's right, got to open it. Sorry, new guy. So push the lever, so now I'm just going back and forth between the lever and this bleed syringe. Once I see there's nothing coming out, close it. Not crazy tight. This thing's always gonna have fluid coming out. You can bleed it off into the rag. Q-tip. Okay. Make sure this is pretty solid. So push, doesn't move. Open the valve. It goes slow. Comes back slow because it's in the slow position. And you crank this thing, I go all the way up. Fast. Shouldn't move anywhere when you lock it. Yay, all done. Speed is preference. It's totally up to you. I find most people prefer to have it fast rather than slow. You want that thing to get out of the way as fast as possible and come back up as fast as possible. But it's kind of nice that they give you an adjuster. It's pretty slick. After that, you're all set. Mount it up and go ride. Thanks for watching.